Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. Today in this video we are going to discuss the biodiversity conservation, and under that how to conserve the biodiversity. Now the biodiversity is to be conserved at all levels, at all hierarchical levels, maybe it the molecular level or genetic level or species level. At all levels it is to be conserved, because the human beings require several things, or you can tell that human beings depend upon the biodiversity for its food, shelter, medicine, everything. That is why it is very essential to conserve them. So how to conserve them? That is the question. Now it can be conserved in two different ways. One is in situ conservation, the other is ex situ conservation. So in this video, we will discuss in detail the in situ conservation. And in situ means on site. So in situ conservation means we have to conserve the biodiversity in its natural habitat. That means the different organisms that we want to conserve them, they will be there in natural habitat. We don't have to take them, we don't have to shift them to some other place. And in this case, the entire ecosystem is to be conserved, to conserve few species. For example, we have to conserve the entire ecosystem to conserve the tiger, because the tiger has to stay in its natural habitat in the forest. So this is known as in situ conservation. Now this in situ conservation we can do in two alternative ways. One is hotspot and the other is protected areas. So let us discuss first the hotspots. So hotspots are biogeographical areas where there is plenty of biodiversity, or you can tell that is species richness is there, but its original vegetation is subjected to threatening. So in that case, that can be considered as a biodiversity. That means that biogeographical area, so you can write it, biogeographical area with species richness and threatened with destruction. That we say it is rich in biodiversity, that is species richness, but it is threatened with a destruction. Then only that can be considered as a hotspot. Now, according to that is Dr. Norman Mayers, according to Norman Mayers, according to him, that in 1988, there are two conditions for the biospots. Now, number one is that there should be minimum 1500 endemic species. That means these species are confined only to that area, they are endemic. And number two is loss of 70% of primary vegetation. These are the two conditions led by Dr. Norman, led by Dr. Norman Mayers, that there should be minimum 1500 endemic species which are found only to that local area, and 70% of the primary vegetation has been lost. Then only that can be considered as a hotspot. And in the world, there are present 34 hotspots are there in the world, out of which 3 are found in India. So out of 34 hotspots are in the world, but 3 are present in India. And these 3 are, we can tell that is number 1 is Western Ghats and Sri Lanka. That means the Western Ghats, it covers the western part of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, then the eastern part of Tamil Nadu, and it extends up to Sri Lanka. That is one. The second one is Indo-Burma region. So Indo-Burma region means it extends from Bhutan to up to Myanmar, and all the northeastern states, they are covered under this. And the third one is the Himalayas. So these are the 3 hotspots. So this is very important for examination point of view. And these hotspots, they cover around 2% of land area, but they contain 40% of species, and it helps in 30% reduction of extinction. That we see the hotspots, they cover only 2% of the land of India, but they cover 40% of the species, because there is species richness is there, and 30% reduction in extinction, because it is biologically very rich. So this is one way of that is conserving the biodiversity. Now the second one is protected areas. Protected areas means there are certain biogeographical areas which are protected by laws, and these may be they may be national parks, may be sanctuaries, or they may be sacred groves or lakes, or they may be biospheres, or they may be Ramsars. These are the 5 categories of the protected areas there, and we will discuss one by one. So the second is coming under protected areas. That means a particular area is protected by laws. So under this there are 5 categories. Now number one is coming under national park. National park. The second one is sanctuaries. The third one is biosphere reserves. The fourth one is sacred groves and lakes, and the fifth one is Ramsar sites. These are the 5 different ways of protected areas. Now first come to this national park. Now national park, it is only maintained by government. Maintained by government. That means no private person or private company can own any national park. It is always maintained by government. And the national parks, it is completely protected, maintained, and managed by legal measures. That means that particular, which is declared a national park, that is maintained by government and is protected, maintained and managed by legal measures. That is again very important. And the largest national park of the world. That is the largest one. The largest one is Northeast Greenland National Park. This is the largest national park in the world. Then there is in USA, there is a Yellowstone National Park. This is located in USA. And in India there are 100 national parks. And some of the examples we will take. Then one is Jim Corbett National Park. Then Kaziranga, Manas. These are some of the national parks present in India, and they cover only 1.1% of area. So these are the different types, and in India there are 100 national parks. These are some of the examples. So it is protected by different legal measures and it is maintained by government. Now come to the second one, that is the sanctuaries. Now the sanctuaries, here the conservation of only animals, not plants. That is important for examination point of view. So in sanctuaries, only there is a conservation of animals only, and it can be maintained both by government as well as private organizations, both by government and private organizations or ownership there, and limited activities like cultivation and forest products, they are allowed. And how many sanctuaries are there in India? In India there are 551 sanctuaries are there. 550 sanctuaries are there, and they cover about 3.6% of area. So this is about the sanctuary. The national park, it is for all plants and animals, but this is only for animals. This is important for extension point of view. And here both government and private ownership can be there. And limited activity like cultivation and forest products are allowed. Now next come to the third one, that is biosphere reserves. The biosphere reserve is a great biogeographical area having multi-purpose activities. It is a large protected area with multi-purpose activities. Now the biosphere, it was initiated in 1975 by the MAB program of UNESCO. So what is MAB program? MAB program is Man and Biosphere. Man and Biosphere. So under that program, the biosphere concept was given in 1975, and at present there are 408 biospheres in the world. 400 biospheres in 94 countries. But in India there are 18 biospheres. And some of the common examples, if you take the examples of biospheres, Then one is Nanda Devi. Then another is Nilgir. Then Sundarbanas. Then Similpal. These are some of the examples. In case of a biosphere, the entire biosphere can be divided into 3 zones. And 3 zones are now the inner zone is known as core zone. Core zone. Then this is known as buffer zone. And this outer one, this is known as transition zone or manipulation zone. These are again important for examination point of view. So in core zone what happens? In core zone there is it is completely undisturbed area. Completely undisturbed area, and there is no human activity. That is no human being can enter into that area, and completely undisturbed area. That is, this is the core zone. Now coming to the buffer zone. In buffer zone there will be limited human activity, and this activity is mostly related to research and education. Limited activity like research and education. But in the transition zone, it is also known as manipulation zone. Here there will be human activities, then human settlement, and cropping, agriculture, and tourism. All are allowed. That means tourism, agriculture, cropping, human settlement, all these are allowed in the transition zone. Limited activity in the buffer zone and no activity in the core zone. These are the characteristics of that biosphere. Now come to the 4th one, that is sacred groups and lakes. Most of the people, they are quite religious, and they even worship their local deities even through the through the plants. They think that this plant is their local deity. They are quite religious, and they do not allow anybody to touch a tree. There is no question of cutting even a branch. So mostly it is this case is found in most of the tribal communities, and there are so many sacred groups in India. And some of the examples, if we will take the sacred groups. So some of the sacred groups, if we take, one is in Rajasthan, the Aravalli Hills. Then you can take this in case of Maharashtra and Karnataka, the Western Ghats. Then in Chhattisgarh, that is Chanda, Sarguja and Bastar. These 3. And in that is Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, Khasi and Jantia hills. They are coming under this category. So these are the different examples of sacred groups and lakes where the local people and mostly tribal people, they put their local deity below a tree and they worship. They do not allow anybody to cut even a single branch. And usually that type of forest, they are on the outskirts of that forest, usually landscapes are there. So this is about the sacred groups, and by this also there is some sort of a conservation of our biodiversity. Then come to the fifth one, that is Ramsar sites. Now Ramsar is the name of a place in Iran, and in Iran in 1971, Ramsar is a place in Iran, and in 1971 there is a convention, world convention regarding the different types of wetlands. So how to conserve the wetlands? Now usually what happens, there are several wetlands are there, that means low areas where the runoff water goes and that is settled there. Or when there is some construction work or any other work is there, people will dump all the waste material there. So, and again in that wetland some new buildings will be constructed. But thereby we are losing a lot of biodiversity. That is why in the Ramsar Convention in Iran 1971, it was decided how to protect these wetlands known as Ramsar sites. Because the wetlands, they have some importance in maintaining the level of water in the ground. And there are some species which is survive in that wetlands. If we grow trees and bushes around to the wetlands, then several birds, migratory birds will come and stay. So our biodiversity can be conserved. So these are the different types. Mainly in-situ is of two types. One is hotspot, the other is protected area. And on the protected area, again 5 different types: national park, sanctuary, biosphere, sacred groups, and Ramsar site. These are coming. And this part is very important from examination point of view. And what are the type of questions usually come from this? Let us discuss. So we'll discuss 2 questions. Now first question is, which of the following is not a method of in-situ conservation of biodiversity? Which of the following is not a method? And one is sacred groups. The second one is that is biosphere reserve. Third one is wildlife sanctuary. And the fourth one is botanical gardens. And this question was asked in NEET 2019. Now let us take the second question. The second question is, how many hotspots of biodiversity in the world have been identified by Norman Mayers. So first choice is 17, then second choice is 25, third choice is 34, and fourth choice is 43. And this question was asked in NEET 2016. So as I already have told you that this part is very important because almost every year a question comes from this part. So thank you very much for watching this video. God bless you. Have a good day.